What up? Al Achad coming back. You know what I'm saying? Holography. Thank you for your viewings. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for viewing. So we back at it, man. I've been busy on my Patreon that you see on the screen there. You see it there, that big old W for the record. Got a little record logo, you know what I'm saying? If you old school like me, you like soul music and stuff like that, you like break beats or just some rare songs that never, really made commercial viewing or commercial status, but it's those underground, jazz, soul, rock, all that type of stuff. It's built in that image. You know what I'm saying? What's the audio file? If you're into vinyl and all that stuff. So that's what I got on the screen there. There you go. There. Consider being a member because most of the real back of the store shit, not the stuff that's there for all customers if they want to come in. The back of the store stuff. I said this before. The stuff in the back. You know what I'm saying? You know about the Blockbuster and or not, maybe it wasn't Blockbuster, but the video store around where I used to live at as a little kid, they had the back section that the kids wasn't allowed to go in there. You know what I'm saying? And we're dealing with mature, spiritual, metaphysical, occult things around here, esoteric stuff. So if you want to go in the back where the adults is, this is the back. You know what I'm saying? The holography, Patreon. You know what I'm saying? Link is in the description. And also I want to go ahead and promote this going on. This book right here, I think I did a review. Well, the review is also on my Patreon. Um, Breathing Flesh, Conceptions of the Body in Ancient Egyptian Coffin Texts. This is the book you want to get if you felt that the Isis Thesis and the Balls of Fire books or that whole content was up your alley. You know what I'm saying? This is what you want to get. And what I have for you, if you're interested, is that I have this now in an ebook version because this book, as you can see, is clearly out of stock. It's a rare book. I only think there was only one printing ever done for this book. I'm not sure the author right here, Rune Njord. He's from Europe. I think he's from Denmark, around that area. He's a part of that crowd of Egyptologists that they don't just deal with Egypt, on the surface. They go beyond the surface, and just like the Judy K. King books, he deals with this Egyptian information or this ancient Kemet information, damn near on the occult and metaphysical level. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely want you to cop this book if you felt that those Isis Thesis books was something that you learned from and got a lot of knowledge out of. And I have a link to my website where you can check it out a little bit more. And then if you would, go ahead and Cashapp me for the, the price of the ebook, it's all there for you. You know what I'm saying? I even give just a little tad bit of insight to that stuff. And then also, like I said, if you sign up for my Patreon, I do a review of the entire book. But what I'm going to do today for y'all is go into, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones inspired type of thing. Al Achad and the Temple of Self Knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Bring out the whip. You know what I mean? You bring out the sword, I bring out the peace. You know what I'm saying? I ain't about to sword fight with you, knowing I got, the heat. You know what I mean? So what's going on? You know what my how can I put this? My central idea of why I'm here to speak to you today, yesterday, and going forward. It's always about self-knowledge with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to consider me a part of the conscious community or the occult community or the new age community or the spiritualist or spirituality community. I don't know which one you want to put me in because I don't mind if you want to put me there, but I want to let you know that what definitely sets me apart from a lot of different speakers and lecturers and teachers in this stuff is that the destination here is always self. You will always be redirected back to yourself in this stuff that is being taught here in this holography thing. We're not dealing with holography just for holography's sake. It's for the purpose of you to gain more self-knowledge. The destination is always self over here. And I'm making that perfectly clear, and it's going to be repeated in future videos because I don't want you to feel like you're being lost here or led astray over this way. You come this way, you going back to self. That's the contract, if you will. You know what I'm saying? The unwritten, unspoken, well now it's spoken, the unwritten contract between you and I, or whoever else wants to watch this stuff. The destination is always back to your ass, self. And the reason why I'm putting this book up here is this is one of the great guides among many, you know what I'm saying, that will get you back to self. Because this is a book here where this author, Rune Yord, and this is, you search the book, you'll find this, my Patreon holography video on the review of this book. I call it a big bone book because this book is like what 660 pages long. You know what I'm saying? So, this is a thick ass book. The thick ass book. It's like you gotta bend it and it's heavy, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't got good forearm strength, you know what I'm saying? It'll tire out your hands and forearms and your wrists and your tarsals and shit. So, you know, it's a book that deals with the conceptualizations of your human body temple, your meat bag, for instance, if that's what you want to call your flesh and blood body. Because a lot of there's people that have this idea that when they become spiritual, it's just you're just ignoring the physical body, like you're not dealing with the physical body anymore. And I beg to differ because if you are a being, a living entity, or just a being, right? You came here to live out a flesh and blood existence here. If you want to be metaphysical, then perhaps that's a part of your life's narrative that you'll get into that type of occult esoteric knowledge. So I'm guessing, or I'm making the assumption that you are here for the same reason that I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So why do you think you chose to be being like self-identify with a physical body? Because when you say I, me, mine, you're talking about, for the most part, you and your physical experience. If that's your car, this is your house, this is your job. You know what I'm saying? This is your name. You know what I'm saying? My name Al Achad, Alex Will 64. These are things that are associated and attributed to you, but if we're talking about separate individualized bodies, you chose to live up in that flesh and blood temple, this temporal, spatio-temporal, flesh and blood biological organism suit, if you want to call it that you experience all these physical experiences through. You see things, you smell things, you hear things. You're hearing me and seeing me now. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if YouTube videos had scratch and sniff. You can smell me. You know what I'm saying? I got that good. Sometimes it's Egyptian musk. You know what I'm saying? Little Muslim dudes be selling the Egyptian musk. You know what I'm saying? In the metropolitan areas of all the major cities of America. You know what I mean? Get you some oils, not oils, oils. But anyway, you pretty much in this physical reality, you have a physical body. But why is your physical body in the shape that it's in? Why is it configured the way that it is? For some of you, this is a repeat conversation, but repetition is the father of learning. You know what I'm saying? I might be a spiritual father. You know what I'm saying? You better stop acting up in this conscious school. Come there and whip your ass. But anyway, why do you have one head instead of two? Why do you have two eyes instead of 4, 8, or 16? Why do you have two ears instead of one? Why do you have one mouth instead of several mouths? Or why don't you count the other orifices that through which we can enter, or things can be entered into your body as a mouth? A female's vagina can be considered a mouth. Your ears can be considered a mouth. Then your nostrils can be considered your mouth. The pupils surrounded by the irises and the retinas and the corneas of your eye, the pupils, can be considered a mouth. In fact, there's the other, ancient chemic book that you can get is the Herbach Egyptian Initiate by Isha Swaller de Lubitz, where, I remember reading that book, and she's talking about that these are openings into the temple of your body. So why aren't they kind of counted as mouths too? That's a way to kind of look at this stuff. So that means the pupil of your eyes can be considered a mouth. Or what's that? What that's that famous saying? The eyes are the windows to the soul. So there's portals all over your body. You know what I'm saying? Mouth, portal, gateway. You know what I mean? Your nose, you breathe in and breathe out. So that's like a two-way street right there, ain't it? A two-way gateway. You can breathe in, breathe out. You know what I mean? So in this book, when you're talking about breathing flesh, he's talking about the metaphysical meanings behind the configurations of your physical temple. Understanding the metaphysical understanding or the meaning of why you have two nostrils, or why you have two eyes, or why you have one abdomen and you have four extremities, your two legs and two arms. What is the symbolic meaning of the configuration of your body? Because this is a part of gaining this self-knowledge. Reason why this is titled the Temple of Self-Knowledge. Because a lot of people that's in this space that we deal with, conscious, occult, spiritual information, semio, spirituality, esoterica, metaphysics, ideology, and occult, that's what I like to call it, semio community, they don't really deal with that like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't really deal with it. Now, I remember like a few years ago, I came across a post where someone had kind of laid out, if we're talking about Ifa, or the whole Nigerian spirituality scene, or people that are into Ifa voodoo, that ATR or African traditional religion. And the post was kind of laid out where the entities and spirits of Yoruba or Ifa were assigned to different parts of the human body. So from that understanding, just like that, it reinforces the concept of your body being a temple, but a temple for whom? For what? And it also gives more importance to the phrase that goes all the way back to ancient Kemet or even earlier civilizations that says, "Man, know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and the gods." Now, for those of you that aren't up on the understanding of gods and where that word actually comes from, that's a old English word that actually was a translation of a Hebrew, Bible, or Hebrew writing of, the so-called Bible. And in that version of your Bible, God, it's not called God. They don't use God. They use a whole different term, and it's called El, or El, Elohim, which is plural. And El translates to power or force or might. Some sort of force that causes or pushes things to become what they are in the realm of experience and existence. So when you say God, what you're actually saying is an updated version of the term El, force, power, sentient force. So when you say Elohim, which is plural for El, you're saying forces. So Elohim literally means forces, powers, principalities, abstracts. The forces that cause everything in your experience, in your existence. And then, I did a whole video talking about El Elyon Elohim, where you deal with the most high force of forces. So there are all these different, individualized forces, but they're all being pushed forth by one single force that undergirds and powers this whole existence. That's what they are calling God in your Christian and adjacent religions of today. So now we tie this in with this understanding in this book, talking about, the breathing flesh and the conceptions of the body. You know what I'm saying? And going back to that post that I was talking to you, that EFOP post where they assign these orishas to different parts of your body. So now we know that that whole orisha thing is not original concept of that. It's a much more ancient understanding, just based on me saying or you understanding man know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and the gods. So those orishas, or those forces, are the gods. So the more you know yourself, the more you know those forces, those gods, those orishas, those Neteru, those Loa, or whatever other, whatever system of spirituality and supernatural substance you're dealing with. So this book kind of gives you an interpretation of those hieroglyphs that spoke on the conceptualizations of the human flesh, the human temple. So now you got to look at all those different temples that were built in the image of man, like the temple of Luxor. You know what I'm saying? Laid out in the as if you were to lay out a human being laid down on the ground, and they built a temple based on that construction, on that format of your physical body, or the human's physical body. So it's symbolic. When you enter the temple, you're entering man, you're entering yourself, to study thyself, to know thyself, to know what forces govern this part of yourself. Because now you can invite astrology to this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Practically. Not that old bullshit you be getting on your timeline where they be like, oh, Sagittariuses are the most sexual, and Gemini have, the best jump shot in basketball. Like, you know what I'm saying? That bullshit. No, we deal with this practically. Because even in your astrological systems, not just tropical, Vedic, Chinese, or whatever, it doesn't matter. There's also a conceptualization of forces within the physical body. For example, with Aries going all the way to Pisces, that's you dealing with your head all the way down to your feet. Meaning that Aries represents the head, Taurus represents the neck, Gemini represents the arms and the hands and the fingers. Cancer represents the chest area, you know what I'm saying? Stick out your chest, little bird chest ass nigga, or the big chested women's, you know what I'm saying? You don't need that surgery to make them bigger, you know what I mean? Leo represents the heart, and sometimes they represents the spine. Virgo represents the what does Virgo Virgo represents the abdomen, the belly, you know what I'm saying? Libra represents the kidneys. Scorpio represents the gonads, or the sexual organs. So that would be a penis for a man, vagina for a woman. And also Cancer represents the womb. So don't forget about that. Where we at? Sagittarius represents the upper legs or the thighs, and somewhat of the buttocks, you know what I'm saying? Now, I have noticed with Sagittarius women that they do have some thick hips and thighs. I've noticed that. It's not universal because there may be other factors involved, but generally Sagittarius women be having them thick ass, you know what I'm saying, meaty neck bone thighs, you know what I'm saying, those holiday ham thighs, you know what I mean, with the glazy syrups and the maple and the, they cook the hams over where I'm at with the 7-Up, you know what I'm saying, and the pineapple and all that. I don't know how y'all do y'all ham, but anyway, Capricorn represents the skeleton, and more than anything, the knees. You know what I'm saying? Aquarius represents the calf, lower legs, the calf under the knees, and also I would say it represents the circulatory system. You can put that there. That could be hotly debated, but it definitely represents the calf muscles and the lower legs. And then finally, Pisces represents the feet. So even in your astrological conceptions, you find the human body. You even see, hold on, I even bring this up. I'm pretty sure you've seen this before too. Where you have the human body curled around the zodiac wheel. It'll pop up. See, you see what I'm talking about? Like, hold on. Before we get to that point, hold on. So look how old this is. This is a very centuries old depiction of the zodiac signs associated with parts of the human body, from Aries all the way down to Pisces representing the feet. But I'm looking for the illustration, and here's another one. So as you get into astrology is still yet another tool of gaining self-knowledge. Because look at all these signs that represent. So that means you are the entire zodiac wheel, or the entire zodiac wheel represents who you are. So for those of you that want to be astrological gangbanging out here, you know what I'm saying? You want to rep your sign and, you know, bang on the other signs. You're the entire wheel. What are you talking about? You have a Taurus right here. You have the Gemini right here. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. And down to your feet, that's your Pisces. So even when you're looking at your birth chart, if you have planets in these signs or these houses in your birth chart, that there's some significance also with that. It correlates to how it works in your physical body as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, the first house of your chart represents your head, your face, and your personality, and you know what I'm saying, your overall persona. So if you have signs there, that can show in your face. Like the features of that planet can show in your face and in your look, the way you look. You know what I'm saying? I have sun in my first house. I'm a shiny ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? I got the reflection. I'll be glistening and shit. You know what I mean? It works like that. But like I said, this is more about you gaining the self-knowledge here. So let me look at it'll pop up on this search. Hold on. You've seen it. Yeah, here we go. Boom. There we go. So you see this woman's body is like in a curved, like she's curved back, like she's doing those yoga poses where you're on your back and you have your hands and your feet and you lift your back up off the, you know what I'm saying? That's what she's doing, this curl right here. And you see that each sign of the zodiac is corresponding to some part of her body. See that? So you want to deal with these astrologists and astrologers out here that ain't even dealing with this level of the astrology. I suggest you drop them because they ain't really taking you anywhere. And like I said at the beginning of this video, again, the destination is always self, God, goddess. That's what you call yourself. So this book here is about going even more depthically into that knowledge. And that these ancient priests knew about this self-knowledge. They made their temples and their hieroglyphs and whatever else they designed, their pyramids, their tombs. Their garb was all based on self-knowledge. Even when you see animals, you know, animal heads on human bodies, or when you see the crown of the pharaoh and it has the vulture and the cobra on it, that's not merely representing the animal, it's representing the force that the animal represents. Use the force, young Padawan, whoever you say it. These are the forces, these are the Elohim. Stop sleeping on Star Wars. But anyway, so again, a book like this takes you on a even, you know, you get more, it's like an archaeological dig into yourself. So we've already had ancient Gnostics or ancient priests or ancient scientists who already kind of mapped this shit out for you or for us, you know what I'm saying? Already mapped it out. So you got a guy like this who, you know, I gotta give it to him. You dedicating your money and time just to bring something this out to the public. Like, you know how much money it would cost to make something like that, or to even get the funding to be going over there doing the studies and doing the deciphering of the hieroglyphs. You need mad $1,000, maybe even millions of dollars to do a project like this, just to get access to that type of stuff. And then to come up with a book that's like 660 pages long on you, on your self-knowledge, on your body, or the human body in general. That's a feat, you know what I'm saying? That's a magnificent feat, you know what I mean? That's a magnum opus right there. A great work. Not only for yourself, for, you know, like for a self of or a sense of self-accomplishment, but when you're handing this book out, now you're presenting this book to the world, you're advancing motherfuckers who probably didn't know this about themselves or about the knowledge that they are seeking, and you're progressing everyone forward with it. So this book was done for the culture, and this is why I had to come out here and yet again speak about it. But just some stuff that I remember from reading this book is the fact that this is where my strength of or strengthening of my metaphysical understanding came through. Just reading like the first chapter where it deals with metaphor. It's a metaphor, figure of speech. Not the dead letter, but the living spirit that moves through the letters for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. So he was able to he discovered that these ancient priests or scientists were all about metaphor and figure of speech. And I've talked about this dealing with the concept of narrative linguistics, how your entire reality is figures of speech. Your body is a figure of speech. And then as you start to, deal with the specific parts of your anatomy. So your head is a figure of speech. Your eyes is a figure of speech. Your blood is a figure of speech. Your feet, your toes, your toenails. Nasty nigga cut them, trim them down. Those are figures of speech. So with that information, that knowledge, that knowing, that's how you begin to understand why you are configured physically the way that you are, or the way that your vessel is configured. Because there's a teaching mechanism, there's an understanding to be gained by you living out your physical life as a flesh and blood body. You're not here just to be here and be trapped. Learn about what's trapping you if you're calling it a trap. And then from there, you start to understand the forces that are governing every part of your anatomy. Man, know thyself, woman, know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and the forces, which you now call gods in this modern human language or modern English language. And this is why, with this knowledge in mind, how could you be led astray? How could you be hoodwinked and bamboozled by anybody in this space that's talking about occult, spiritual, semio subjects? How could you be led astray? If you're studying self, there's no way you can get lost unless, of course, the idea is to get lost in thyself. There's a lot of lost individuals, lost souls out here. And just because they saying and doing, what we consider conscious stuff, don't mean that they ain't lost. But this is a way to find yourself. This is a tool to find yourself, just like astrology is a tool to find yourself. You know what I'm saying? Links in the description if you would like your birth chart from me. Here's you want colors? Here's something with some colors on, because some people don't, you know what I'm saying? It gotta be bright and colored and spectacular for them to want to be interested in it, to captivate their low attention span. You know what I'm saying? And here this tells you, which house in your birth chart, not merely the sign, but also the house represents which body parts in astrology. You know what I'm saying? Because I would even agree with this, like just dealing with the house part of your birth chart. You know what I'm saying? And what signs you have there, there's usually a correlation. You'll notice a correlation with if there's signs, or excuse me, planets in those houses in your birth chart. You know what I mean? But again, we're dealing with the Elohim, we're dealing with the forces, we're dealing with the sentience and the intelligences behind your anatomy. Because, for example, are you conscious of everything your body is doing at any given time? No. You're not even conscious of your breathing until I just said breathing or breath or respiration. Can you feel your hair growing out of your head or your face or your body? Can you determine how long it's going to grow or how fast or how slow? Or, for example, are you conscious of how tall you can grow yourself? Can you make yourself shorter? Can you make your skin darker or lighter based on you're thinking about it or you knowing the forces behind it? These are things to know because then that would go into your idea of magic, mastery over self. Because this is what a lot of these Buddhists and Tibetan monks have been purported to do. They have self control over the body in ways that most humans don't. So they dedicate their time of their lives to master these unconscious parts of themselves. To use a psychology word, unconscious or subconscious, because these are forces that are in play without you having to consciously know what they're doing to do it. For example, do you consciously digest your food when you eat it? No. You don't consciously tell your intestines, hey, put this amount of acid on it to break this down, or use these nutrients and shit everything else out of my anus. You don't consciously do that. There are forces, intelligent forces within you that handle that digestion for you. So the goal of a lot of these priests or scientists is to get in on the knowledge, to get in on that gnosis about themselves, so that even they may be able to control that. Have you ever been so fucking sleepy and tired that you couldn't keep yourself up? You couldn't keep awake? Like for some of you that may be working a night shift, I remember I lost a job one time. I slept on a job because it was a night shift position. And I fell asleep. Okay. Got fired and move on. You know what I mean? I fell asleep. And there was nothing I could consciously kind of do about it. Because even if you drink all the coffee and all the caffeine or the pills or whatever to stay up or whatever you're taking to keep yourself awake, sometimes your body just shuts down. Or how about you ever woke up in the morning and you forgot when you even went to sleep because it doesn't work like that, right? You don't know when you went to sleep last night. You just went to sleep. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because if you were on the path of real self-knowledge, you'd be able to control your waking and sleeping cycle much more than the average human can do. Because even now, I don't need what they're saying in pop science that you need 8 hours of sleep. I don't need 8 hours. You may have been conditioned to have 8 hours, but I can sleep 4 hours and be fully rejuvenated physically. Sometimes even less. But since you're used to sleeping all night, or saying used to the idea of sleeping for 8 hours, each day, during the night hours, the scary hours, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you wake up, you think that you're supposed to go back to sleep. But no, I could start my day at I went to sleep around 12. I could start my day at 4 and be fully rested. That's what you call mastery right there. So imagine being in these temples in the Far East, and this is what I've said this before, being conscious of your subconscious or unconscious self, making the unconscious conscious or making the subconscious conscious, to use all these psychological terms, or gaining voluntary control over involuntary forces and um algorithms of yourself. Because this is how I determine who's awake and who's asleep. You merely knowing about politics, or you talking about veganism, or you want to talk about these low level magical systems, that doesn't mean that you're awake. You still don't control the uncontrolled parts of yourself. You're still asleep. That's a straight up practical way to determine who's woke and who isn't. Now, you still got forces that do things for you within your physical self without you consciously being aware of it. Know thyself, man, woman, and know the forces as well. And and thou shalt know the universe and the forces that govern it. But we all know the law of the universal law of correspondence, as within, so without, as above, so below, as below, so above. So all you're really looking at is a correlative projection of what's going on within yourself. And even in my book, Holography, let's bring that up because why not? Even in this book here, which, thank you if you've already purchased or already, got to reading at least half of it, or, you started your reader journey on such a book. You know, we talk about this in here, you know what I'm saying? Or I talk about this in this book. That's why I'm saying lately that there's really no victims of life because everything that happens to you is based on who you chose to be here. Nothing happens to you outside of your own configuration. I'll slow it down for you. Nothing happens to you beyond your own configuration. So when it gets to self knowledge, it's all about you knowing your configurations. So now it never is a mystery, or you're never dumbfounded or confounded or lost about why things are happening in your existence or your life. That's the benefit of self knowledge. You got motherfuckers who purport this information and these devastating events and things still happen to them. I was like, I don't think you know yourself that well. Because there has to be a level of practicality about this stuff. I know it's a lot of fantastical, etheric, spiritual, magical, you know what I'm saying? Occult stuff going on, but there's still a level of practicality that must be met. Otherwise, we can, dismiss what you're saying and disregard what you're saying as bullshit or something that we shouldn't be following behind because it's not going to really realize or actualize who we are. I'm all about self-actualization, which is a term that has kind of got, more commercialized as they keep putting out these self-help books that you get at your local Barnes and Noble or Amazon or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But real, true self-actualization ought to lead you to self-deification, apotheosis, alchemical transmutations, and the like. If you are the, how they like to use that passage from your holy Bible talking about ye are gods. Well, we already already told you what gods actually is kind of referring to. Ye are forces, ye are powers. You are force before you are a physical body or a physical identity. You're a force, you're a power. Even when you want to use the term spirit or you want to use the Greek term pneuma, you're talking about breath. Breath is nothing but a force of existence. So even as I'm sitting here respirating right now, you're respiring, or however you want to say the word. When you respire and I respire, you're just you're in this activity of swinging forces, oscillating forces, in out. That's all you're doing. That's the construct of this entire fucking existence. Right there in your breathing. Right there in your breath. Not the carbon dioxide and the oxygens and the nitrogens. No, the force of the action. Because again, you breathe throughout the entire day without you even consciously knowing that you're breathing. So that's why you see a lot of different spiritual practices focus on the conscious control of their breath. Because if you can get conscious control over your respiration, what else can you get conscious control of? There would be no limit after that, wouldn't it? Got to be a no limit soldier. This is why you always see me put Saitama from One Punch Man on shit. No limit soldier. Matter of fact, be a no limit general. But in order to be a general, you still got to be a soldier. So, keep that in mind. But getting back to this book, Breathing Flesh, like I said, just the very first section of this book deals with the understanding of metaphorical meaning, semiotics. That's why I put so much value before we even get to what your stomach means or what your eyes mean or what your back or your gonads mean. Before we even get to that, just the metaphorical understanding or a metaphorical approach to metaphysics. How everything in the physical is yet a symbol for metaphysical, metaphorical abstracts and principles. So your feet represents a principle of existence. Your eyes represent a principle of existence. You are principled up, but you don't want to learn the principle. You won't be studying that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing here physically that you can experience that is without its symbiotic meaning or semiotic meaning or metaphysical meaning behind it. So that's why I don't deal with people that like to go into certain levels of nihilism because they think that life is meaningless. Yeah, it's because you didn't study. So you appear to me as a physical body to tell me life is meaningless, but your whole fucking temple is nothing but physically condensed meaning. You don't make no fucking sense. You know what I'm saying? You're just saying that because you're angsty and you're going through a midlife crisis. You know what I'm saying? A breakthrough is coming for some of y'all motherfuckers that be sitting here acting like that. A breakthrough is coming. Don't worry. So again, going back to what I said about, that post that I seen on Instagram, you probably find it. Just do the hashtag for Orishas or whatever. Or just look it up on Google. Here, let's see if it's up here. Hold on. Probably come right up after I type this. Yeah, here we go. Think this is here we go. Boom, found it. I don't think you can really see it, but they assign these orishas to some part of your human anatomy. I should have brought this up in the beginning. There you go. So you see this same pattern in astrology, you see it in Yoruba or this Ifa thing, and you see it in this whole Egyptian thing. So no matter what culture or time period you're dealing with, you're still dealing with this same concept of these forces that take up residence in the human temple. So the gods of which you speak of are not that far, they are you. They make up what you are. They're not outside of you. Their representations may appear outside of you, but what in their true essence makes up your essence. So you got Oya, you got Urun Mila, if I'm saying that right, Shango, and it makes sense that Shango is representative of the heart, or the heart is representative of Shango. Excuse me, because Shango is the drum, right? It deals with that thunderous drum. The drum beat of your body is your heart. So when you deal with drums or you try to communicate through drums, you're actually you're doing what the heart is doing. You see what I mean? Now I'm not sure, if all these different you got Ogun that represents the skeleton. I don't know why Ogun will represent the skeleton. Ogun is associated with iron and I would say blood and all that stuff. But hey, this is some of this shit ain't always accurate. But the idea is there. You know what I'm saying? Because then you would take this idea and take it to the next level where you would find out if Ogun really is the force behind your skeleton or not. Because I would just consider this some exoteric, mundane shit until you get the real rundown of which forces are governing over which parts of your body. Now, this is a far stretch or a long ways of or a long ways from you going to, high school or going to college where you learn about the anatomy and the physiology of the human body. Because this is a system or a institution telling you what this is, rather than you going on the intuitive path to learn it for yourself. So you see a lot of niggas that get led astray when they go to these colleges and schools or whatnot. You see them get led astray because they don't want to follow their intuitive reasoning about things. They don't want to let the parts of themselves tell them who they are. What if your eyes told you who they are? Or your stomach tells you what it is? How you even know stomach is the name of that part of your body? That's something you were told in this institution or this colonized institution you live in. What if there's a secret name to your mouth? Which again, I would love for you to get this book so that you can start getting the understanding behind that stuff. Because again, there are operations going on within you that you are largely ignorant of. And you are not really a part of it. You're not consciously in tune with it. But like I said, you got people sitting up here thinking that they one of the Orishas, they one of their Ori, or this thing of Ori where, and it's right in the word Orisha, the Ori thing where, which of these forces govern over your soul or whatever. So some people, in this whole Ifa thing, you got Ogun governs over certain individuals. Then you have Oshun that governs over certain individuals. Then you got Obatala and so on and so forth. That would be called your Ori. But this is what I'm trying to say. Even just dealing with Ifa, what would you trust more? Some priest telling you what Ori you have, or you going on the self-knowledge journey to find out for yourself? Because he can lie to you. She can lie to you. Or she can be inaccurate. He can be inaccurate. But be self-assured about this if you go on that path to find out for your damn self. Find for your damn self. What about that? That's the track I'm on. How you going to have a higher authority than my self-knowledge? So whatever books you write and whatever books you read and whoever you listening to on YouTube, their authority should not be over your self-knowledge. Or let me not say should. Hey, if that's how you want to do shit. Because I'm not here to, direct your life. That's not my responsibility, and I don't want to take on that burden. I'll share this stuff with you, but I'm not in charge of what you are to know and who you are to follow or what you are to take on for yourself. But what I'm strongly suggesting is that you put your self-knowledge above any other body of information being told to you or written to you or told to you, on a fucking YouTube channel. Above anything I'm saying, your self-knowledge ought to be the priority, the highest governing factor of any of this information out here. Now, this is the one. Here we go. This is the one I seen. It's on Facebook, so they like blurring out the picture until you click on the hold on, let me see. Hold on. And I think I'm friends with this, or I like this page on Facebook, this Orisha Scientific Spirituality. So it makes sense that they would have this here. Hold on, hold on. Let me see if I can open this in a new window. Open image in new tab. There we go. It's too small. Shit. All right. Well, you can just see the upper part of this shit. So here you go. Abatala governs the eyes. Oya governs, the throat area and the larynx area and all that shit. And then Yeminya or Yemoya, however y'all pronounce that, is governing the arteries. So you're checking into that force that makes the blood go around the body. or the forces in your stomach, the forces in your brain, the forces in your nose. You are a temple of gods, temple of forces. But do you know that? And not just me telling it to you. Have you intuited that? Have you been experiential with that? See, the focus for me is experiential learning. They got Ishu governing over the kidneys. This is why your body is the place of exploration. This is why they created these temples in the ancient times. The orishas are divine functions. I love that they use divine functions, and then even more so the word function. Because now that ties back into the world being a mathematical equation, right? Even with the architect in the second Matrix movie told you that. The Orisha are divine functions that live within your spirit and body. So why don't you know this about yourself? Are you in tune with any of these forces? Do you have communication with any of these forces, or a camaraderie with any of these forces? Or are these forces doing things outside of, your control and outside of your influence, to the point that they're even working against you? So you think that your enemy is somewhere outside of you. Your enemy is right there within you. Projected outside of you is something else. And this is one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of divine order, or in Sheshe, if you're dealing with the Ghanaian or Akan cosmology, in Sheshe, divine order, discipline. So that you put these forces in order. You structure them so that they are not causing disruption or destruction or detrimental things to you and anything around you. They're disciplined. This is you disciplining the animal that you keep claiming you are when you talk about astrology. Oh, you're a Scorpio, so you're a scorpion. Okay. But have you controlled the scorpion that is you, or that force of scorpion? Probably not. Probably, most likely, no, they haven't. I'm like, oh, I'm a Scorpio. Scorpios, this, and that. See, this is what you would want to understand when it comes to this self-knowledge shit. Even if your sun sign is Scorpio, the job of you now, or the task you can be completing, is getting control over the scorpion. Because I've said this in maybe a long ago video, that when you are asleep in your physical body and you're not dealing with this type of gnosis or information, this knowledge, you are not riding the sign is riding you. Repeat, you are not riding the sign is riding your ass. So you are in your so-called lower animal self, and you want to sit up here and prop up this shit as you somehow special because you're a Pisces or a Leo or a Virgo or something like that, or a Taurus or something like that. You're just a human animal with Taurus energy. That's it. You haven't gained the knowledge or the power to now ride the bull. The bull is riding your ass. You know what I mean? And what animals do is they live, die, live, die, live, born, live, die, born, live, die, no knowledge. Even when we get to Aquarius, where we're talking about the man, because we are in this eon of Aquarius, right? So this age or eon of Aquarius. So you got motherfuckers that, they think because they're men and women or human that they aren't animals. As you can clearly see, the human is part of the animal family. Homo sapiens sapiens. You know what I'm saying? You're a part of the animals, the animal kingdom. So just like all these animals, you are on your lower end of what you are. So even if you want to just deal with the Aquarius energy, you are being ridden by the human animal instead of you riding the human animal. See, there's a difference between those two entities. Because I was born in the area of, or season of Pisces, right? So that means until I get this self knowledge and until I get to my so-called higher self, the fish rides me. I don't ride the fish yet until I get to that position in my being where now I ride and steer and move the fish how I want to move it, instead of me being moved by the fish. So all these motherfuckers that's sitting here banging these signs and saying that, because I'm a Libra, I'm better than everybody else. No, you and even Libra, they don't really like to deal with the ancient animal, the Libra, which is the donkey, the ass. And Virgo is the dog. Some people don't like to, they just want to deal with the scales or the virgin. It's like, no, the dog is the secret sign or secret animal of the Virgo. But this is all going back to knowledge of self, because again, I tell you, as an astrologer, I've been doing astrology for almost 10 years now. So almost next year is going to be a decade of me doing astrology, or astrology as far as me doing it as a professional and a counselor and doing birth charts. 10 years in with this shit. 10 years. All a tool of self-knowledge. That's what I concluded about doing this birth chart stuff and astrology stuff for people. But again, going back to this book before we close this out, this is where you get to learn the meaning, understanding, semiotic value, and force behind every part of your anatomy. Have you ever heard of the book Occult Anatomy of Man by Manly P. Hall? Because that would also tie right into this Orisha thing too. So now you have different cultures coming to the same conclusion. So this is a book you can sit here, or this one you can download this to your device without any money down. It's for free. Occult Anatomy of Man. Here, I like this, and this is in the public domain, so you can republish this and make your own book out of it. But the Occult Anatomy of Man. This is no different from this right here. It's no different from this right here. It's no different from that. But this is the book that tells you the history and the ancient understanding of it. So, I like to not only do root work, I like to do kernel work on the things I do. Graduate from root work and get into kernel work. This is a kernel working book. Get your copy. I got it in ebook format, finally, for your purchase. So again, visit my website. Here, I even show you where you can, you go to my website, go to services, go to, go to other books. And then the link is right here, this acrosensum.com link. For ebooks, please visit this link for the ebook store list. And it takes you to this website where I have all these ebooks. So some of y'all already know I got Balls of Fire as an ebook for you to get. I got this Practice of Witchcraft in Ghana for those of you that are interested in Obia Obai, or just the most gangster motherfucking book in the occult. I'm saying that you don't gotta agree, but I'm telling you to get it so you can find out for yourself. And you got the sequel, which is the autobiography of an African witch, Don't Cry, My Baby, Don't Cry, which deals with more of, it focuses on one of these people. Because in the first book, it's like the just general overall view. But in this book, he kind of does an interview of one of these so-called Abaifo. And then you have the Moetia, I don't know why it didn't load, which deals with these elf fairy-like entities, but they're called Moetia in the Akan language. Oh, let me refresh this. I need you to see the cover of the book. Why are they loading? Anyway, like I said, I got it, all the information down here. So it's all here. You know what I'm saying? So just visit, the link is all in the description. Check it out. You know what I'm saying? Follow the instructions on how to get it, and it's yours. So again, Al Achad had to come here and, be on some Indiana Jones shit, say Al Achad and the Temple of Self-Knowledge. You heard me? You heard me? Let me just leave you with an image. Hold on. Let me leave you with an image. Hold on. So you probably even know about this book by because I mentioned his wife earlier, the Renee Schwaller de Lubitz. So this is the outline of the, if you on an aerial view of, or top view of the Temple of Luxor in Kemet, right, or Egypt, and you see that the human skeleton or the human body is superimposed over it. Here's another picture. So this book is about this stuff. But again, if you want to get into the real nitty gritty kernel of this shit, the seed of it, Breathing Flesh, Conceptions of the Body in Ancient Egyptian Coffin Texts, this is the book you want to get. Add it to your library. Prioritize it, because I don't think there's even another book out here. Like I said, this Temple of Man and the Occult Anatomy of Man are probably the closest books to it, to be honest with you. They even have this detailed diagram of it right here. So, do your search. See that? So now we know what Masonry and Rosicrucianism and all these different orders and systems are all about now. Hopefully you've been paying attention. But again, this is Al Achad. Again, all the links and descriptions and all the stuff that I'm, selling and my services, go into the description section of this video. So again, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you eat brains like, in that scene in the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones. They say organ meats has the fats in them. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Chow down. Monkey brain head ass nigga. You know what I mean? But again, Al Achad, Wholography, check you out.